Monday School is a chance for Wally to share what he learned at church and prove that he went.
Buckle up, Buttercup, because this is going to be the Monday school you probably don't like.
Oh.
Yeah, Gavin and I go to the same church. I know. And
this is exciting.
If you think that the Bible is irrelevant, it's an old book, you could not be farther from the truth, because it covers all the stuff in life, including submission to authority. And if you look at like the government and the way things go that don't line up with you, it can be really, really frustrating. But Paul in Romans explains how we are supposed to respond to the government. He says, let everyone be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. The authorities that exist have been established by God. Consequently, whoever rebels against the authority is rebelling against what God has instituted. Whoa, that's got a lot, because then you're like, well, wait, what if they're not doing godly things? There's a caveat for that as well, And the thing is, you might be saying, well, God, you don't understand. Like, we have a government that's really messed up and is thumbing its nose at you. Well, if you look at the context in the time this was written, Nero was the emperor, and Nero was the kind of guy that was burning Christians in his garden for lighting. He hated Christians, and they so
that's
it
rough.
was it was like a worse than I would say it is today, and stuff. So the Bible actually says government is there to protect people and promote good. They are servants who will be judged by God for how they govern. So they're not scot-free off the hook. God is working bigger plans in a bigger scale, and they have to then be subject to him as well one day. But that's frustrating in the meantime. So, what if they're acting counter to Christ? Paul addresses that as well. He says, you appeal to the next authority, but you still stay under authority. You don't usurp it. You work within it. And that's hard sometimes for us to agree with and to follow. But there are examples in the Bible of times when it is okay to go against it. And it's like when the authority contradicts God's commandment. You look at Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were told to worship another god. They're like, we're not doing it. And God made allowances. When they promote injustice or immorality, the women who refused to turn over the kids when Pharaoh was going to kill all the children, and that saved Moses, So there are times that people do go against the established government within reason when things are, popping up. But the important thing is, I think especially more so in this day, because we're dealing with ideologies, the importance is that we can't appeal to a higher authority without hate, ugliness, and disrespect. We shouldn't devalue the people that we disagree with, but rather elevate Jesus in a way that they see him and we treat them well. And that's hard. I mean, it's really hard.
How are you going to implement this into your own life?
Oh, I don't know. I'm still processing it.
Oh, okay.
Because I get worked up about things.
Yeah.
I'm very passionate about things, but it's a good reminder for me as well. Jesus' response to personal injustice that would ultimately take his life, in the middle of that, he maintained humbleness and kindness. So I think the key here is let's stand for something, not against something. Stand for it, not against it. We stand for these values, and this is why, versus standing against you and be a value that disagrees with us, because then it's personal, and then it feels like you're attacking. But instead of this is what we believe, this is what we're standing for, but we don't hate you. Even if you don't agree with us, it's okay, because Jesus didn't hold that against people, and they ultimately took his life. And so he's a great example of how to handle disagreement on a big scale.